The first night they shared a bed, the lights went out and the room sank into darkness. Ryan lay there trembling faintly. Noticing something unusual, Han Cheng quickly sat up and turned on the light. "Are you nervous? Afraid of the dark?" Ryan shook his head lightly. "I'm not." Han Cheng leaned closer, smiling. "If you are, just turn around and hold me. With someone beside you, it won't be so scary anymore." The facade of toughness Ryan tried to put on was instantly exposed. Embarrassed, he hesitated for a moment before finally turning and wrapping his arms tightly around Han Cheng. The room grew quiet. Han Cheng embraced him, guiding the boy's face into the crook of his neck, sighing softly. "If only I had met you earlier. I could have taken care of you sooner." Ryan lifted his head. "But aren't we already together?" "Now?" Han Cheng kissed his forehead, his voice gentle. "What I mean is, even earlier than this." They lived together for a week. One day, as the weather began to warm, Han Cheng looked at him and said, "Shall I buy you some summer clothes? What kind do you like?" "Anything is fine," Ryan answered. Han Cheng let out a helpless laugh. Again, with the anything. "Even when I invited you to eat before, you said the same thing." Just then, his phone buzzed. Ryan reminded him, "Your phone." Glancing at the screen, Han Cheng's brows immediately furrowed. He turned away to take the call. The caller was his stepmother's son, his so-called younger brother, Han. Due impatience seeped into Han Cheng's tone. "What is it?" On the other end, the boy's hesitant voice came through. "It's been a month since you last came to the hospital. Uncle really wants to see you." Han Cheng's reply was cold. "I didn't come. Shouldn't you be glad? Stop pretending in front of me." Silence stretched until the boy finally whispered, "I'm not glad. It's just, you haven't been home for so long. Don't call me brother, and stop calling me altogether." He hung up without hesitation. Noticing something off, Ryan asked, "What happened?" "Nothing. Just a spam call," Han Cheng replied, while putting on his jacket. "Oh, the school has a meeting today. I'll be back a little late. If you're hungry, eat first. If you're tired, don't wait up." "How late?" Ryan asked softly. "Around 8 or 9. I'll come back as soon as it's done." He pulled him into an embrace. Ryan gave a quiet, Clutching his shirt, he tiptoed and brushed a shy kiss across Han Cheng's lips. His ears flushed red. "I saw people kissing like this." Han Cheng returned the kiss, reluctant to let go. "If you tease me like this again, it won't just end with a kiss. You once said, 'Everything should happen naturally,'" Ryan murmured. Tucking the hair behind his ear, Han Cheng gazed at the boy's reddened face, his chest stirring with fierce emotion. "I take that back. Ryan, I'm just a normal man. Holding back too many. Times isn't good for my health." Ryan lowered his head, blushing furiously, unable to speak. Before leaving, Han Cheng reminded him, "I left a spare key and some cash on the table. Take care of yourself." Bored at home, Ryan went out to buy groceries, planning to cook dinner. But suddenly, someone bumped into him, knocking the water bucket from his hands and soaking him. A hand offered him a handkerchief. Ryan lifted his head to thank them. Yet before he could see clearly, the cloth was pressed tightly over his mouth. He struggled, but his consciousness quickly blurred. The grocery bag scattered across the ground. In his dazed state, heat surged through his body as he was thrown onto a bed. Before him stood a blond young man, eyes filled with malice. Not bad. Premium quality. No wonder he dared lay hands on Dylan. More than once, Ethan had stepped in to protect him. Upon hearing the news, Dylan hastily called his brother. "Don't hurt Ryan. Otherwise, Ethan will surely be concerned." But Robert's fury was impossible to swallow. Sneering, he tore at Ryan's clothes. No one can bully the Dylan family without paying. If he disappears, all the better. So Ethan won't have anyone left to pine for. At that very moment, Ethan's men, who had been secretly watching over Ryan, reported his sudden disappearance from the supermarket. He immediately ordered them to check the surveillance footage. When the image of the kidnapper appeared, someone all too familiar, his heart sank. Robert wasted no time stripping him bare and pinned him down. Through his days, Ryan's hand groped for the ashtray beside the bed, smashing it hard against Robert's head. Blood gushed instantly. Enraged, Robert raised his hand to strike, but in that very second, Ethan burst in, kicking him away with ruthless force. "Who dares lay a hand on what's mine? Tired of living, are you?" Robert froze in fear, attempting to threaten him with the marriage pact between their families. But Ethan's expression only darkened further. "As for the engagement, I'll decide that for myself. If you're unhappy, then we'll cancel it." Throwing off his coat, he wrapped it tightly around Ryan and carried him away in his arms, swiftly return home. The moment he set him on the bed, Ryan clutched at his hand, pleading desperately, "Don't go." A rare surge of joy rose in Ethan's chest. He bent down, holding him tightly, savoring this fleeting initiative. But the next second, another man's name slipped past Ryan's lips. Ethan froze, his expression turning stormy. Seizing his chin, his voice dropped cold as steel. "Say that again." Ryan's hazy eyes fixed on him. "I don't want to think about him anymore. Hold me. Help me forget him." A flash of savagery lit up Ethan's gaze. Just a few days with Han Cheng, and the man had already made Ryan this comfortable? Jealousy burned through him, wild and unrestrained, as though his head sprouted an endless field of green. Losing control, he tore at Ryan's clothes, his voice harsh and demanding. "Have the two of you slept together?" Clutching Ryan's face, he growled each word. "Look closely at who I am. Remember this. If you die, you'll die on my bed." The fog cleared from Ryan's mind, and he finally realized who was on top of him. Horror gripped him. "No, don't." But Ethan, stripped of all reason, gave a chilling laugh. "From now on, you'll stay inside this house. You'll belong only to me. Forever." And then he consumed him in madness. The process is omitted. No one knew how much time had passed. Darkness had fallen outside. When Ryan finally stirred awake, his body was covered in bruises and marks. The phone suddenly vibrated. With a cold, mocking smile, Ethan shoved it before his eyes. "Awake? Then answer. Wouldn't want your lover to worry." Hands trembling, Ryan accepted the phone, only to immediately hang up. Ethan sneered. "Why not answer? I'd love to let him know exactly what we've just done. Someone like you, and yet he still picked you up? How laughable." The phone rang again. This time, Ethan snatched it, answering directly, and forcing it against Ryan's ear. On the other end, Han Cheng's worried voice rushed through. "Why haven't you picked up? Where are you?" Ryan said nothing. Han Cheng pressed, anxiety clear in his tone. "Did something happen to you?" Fighting to keep his voice steady, Ryan forced out, "I remembered I still have a relative. I contacted him. He said he'd arrange a job for me. It suits my situation now. You know I don't like sitting around doing nothing." "Then why didn't you tell me?" Han Cheng immediately asked. "I could have gone with you." A faint, strained smile curved Ryan's lips. "There's no need. Focus on your work. When I'm free, I'll come visit you." Silence lingered on the line before Han Cheng softened his voice. "Then take care of yourself. Call me if anything happens." As soon as the call ended, Ethan seized his chin, forcing him to face him. Madness boiled inside him, gentle to others, yet cold as a stranger to him. His voice was venom-laced. What now? Still thinking of running back to him? Best drop that. Dream. He's a professor. How could he ever openly love another man? Ryan bit his lip hard, refusing to answer. Pinning him down, Ethan's tone shifted, softening just slightly. "If you don't want me engaged, I'll break it off. From now on, I'll spend more time with you. You don't like Auntie Lee? Then we'll move out. I've had your things transferred to the study next door. I even bought you a few books you like." Ryan turned his face away, unwilling to look. At him, forcing his chin back, Ethan declared, "Don't even dream of leaving me. You're mine, always mine." He gripped Ryan's hand tightly and began again, only to stop short when he noticed something wrong. Ryan's brows furrowed, his expression twisted in pain, his complexion deathly pale. Panic seized Ethan. "Ryan! Ryan!" On the hospital bed, Ryan lay motionless. Outside the room, Ethan anxiously questioned Peter. "How is he?" Peter hesitated before replying. "Not good. A male body is different from a female's. There are limits that must be respected." Regret darkened Ethan's face. "I didn't plan to hurt him this time, but after saving him, he called out another man's name right in front of me. So that's why you treated him like this?" Peter's voice was sharp. For once, Ethan did not argue. Peter sighed. "Do you truly like him?" Ethan froze. Before, he would have denied it without hesitation. How could he ever like someone he treated as a mere toy? The thought alone was absurd. Besides, Ryan in front of him had always been arrogant, dull to process, the extreme. Yet this time, no words would come. Peter pressed on. "Whatever the case, you cannot torment him like this. Look what you've done to him. Do you really want him dead?" Ethan stood still, torn apart inside. All he wanted was for Ryan to show him a little gentleness. Yet again, he only managed to wound him. Just then, a subordinate approached and whispered, "Young master, your family requests your presence." "Go," Peter urged. "I'll take care of him." Ethan relented. "Fine. Report to me immediately if anything changes." Peter could only sigh. Truly a curse. At the Ethan family's villa, Ethan sat together with Dylan, a member of the Dylan family spoke. "Young master, aren't you soon to be engaged to young master Dylan? Then you shouldn't protect that other one anymore. He's harmed our young master more than once. Keeping such a vicious person around is dangerous." But was Ryan truly vicious? Memories of high school surfaced in Ethan's mind. Back then, Ryan had been incredibly kind, wearing the same few clothes all year, yet still willing to feed stray cats. Every time he saw him, he would smile so brightly. The same boy who could be gentle with stray cats, yet had once cut him with a shard of porcelain. Dylan noticed his silence and spoke softly. "Ethan, my brother was wrong, but he only did it because he didn't want me to suffer." A sharp, suspicious glance was cast his way. Dylan gave a weak laugh and continued, "If you don't want to hand him over, that's fine. But it'll be hard to explain to my father. Our families are already bound together. By the end of the year, we're supposed to be engaged." Ethan cut him off coldly. "Then there won't be any engagement." Dylan's eyes widened in shock. He never thought Ethan would abandon him because of Ryan. Panic surged through him, his voice trembling. "Ethan, you're joking, right? If you want to keep Ryan, that's fine. After all, it's not like we'll be living together forever." Ethan turned his face, gaze cold. "I'm not joking. This marriage was arranged far too hastily." Dylan was stunned, unable to believe he truly said that. His voice cracked as though he might cry. "But we've already informed all our relatives. Both families agreed. Ethan, you used to love me the most." Ethan pushed him away. "Ryan is still in the hospital. I don't want to drag this out any longer. We'll deal with this later." With that, he turned and walked off, not caring about the desperate voice calling after him. Suddenly, Ryan bolted upright, clutching his stomach, trembling all over. Ethan immediately called for Peter. After examining him, Peter said, "Nothing serious, just gastric acid irritating the ulcer." Ethan asked worriedly, "Does it still hurt badly?" Sweat streamed down Ryan's pale face, yet he answered calmly, "Either way, it's not enough to kill me yet." Ethan's expression instantly darkened. "Do you have to make trouble just to feel better?" Ryan gave a faint smile, his voice weak. "Isn't that what you always say?" I'm only repeating your words. Ethan forced back his anger, regaining composure. Ryan spoke slowly, each word cutting sharp and clear. Ethan, stop pretending to be kind in front of me. Just the sight of it makes me sick. Ethan didn't lash out. Instead, he stepped forward, helping him sit up and adjusting. The blanket? If you're fine now, once the IV is finished, you'll be discharged. He quickly completed the paperwork, then returned to the ward and gently helped Ryan out of bed. While helping him change clothes, he suddenly said, "Didn't you always want a complete family?" Then, out of nowhere, he bent down on one knee, eyes brimming with tenderness. "Ryan, let's be together." It wasn't a plea. It was a decision already made. Ryan's face remained cold. "I'm not worthy of climbing so high." Ethan's expression stiffened, but he didn't get angry. Patiently, he said, "Don't be stubborn anymore. As long as you don't leave me, from now on, I'll listen to everything you say. I bought a villa in the suburbs for you. Fresh air, perfect for recovery." He carefully wrapped his arms around him. "Dylan is gone now. You won't have to feel uncomfortable seeing him anymore." Ryan's lips trembled as he asked softly, "Did you really break off the engagement with Dylan? Really?" Ethan nodded. Ryan lowered his voice. "Actually, he did love you quite a lot." Ethan's eyes lit up, staring intently at him. "And what about you?" Ryan gave no answer. Ethan held him tighter, his voice filled with longing. "Ryan, let's live well together from now on." Ryan could clearly sense the change in him, but deep down, he still wanted to leave a scar, a mark that would never let this man forget. He tugged at the hem of his shirt, resisting and pushing him away, but Ethan paid no heed. His face flushed, red, breath ragged as he pressed him down, whispering his name before seizing him in urgency. Tears slid down Ryan's cheeks. He had just been discharged, yet once again, his body was being treated as a mere plaything. When it was over, Ryan lay face down on the bed. Ethan spoke softly. "Let me clean you up, and then you can sleep. Otherwise, it'll harm your health." Ryan said nothing, tears still streaming silently. Holding him close, Ethan whispered in his ear, "If only you had been this obedient before." Ryan let out a cold laugh. "Obedient? Perhaps all you ever wanted was just a pet that knows how to follow orders." A week later, Dylan came to find Ethan at school. "Ethan, can we talk for a moment?" Ethan, carrying some guilt, asked, with concern, "Is your hand still hurting?" Dylan smiled. "It's fine. Li Shen helped me that day." At dinner time, the two went to a nearby restaurant. When Dylan saw Ethan ordering all his favorite dishes, a secret joy welled in his Moi Luaindam chest. Ethan still cares about me. He even carefully picked food into his bowl. Suddenly he asked, "Ethan, is there truly no chance for us anymore?" Ethan froze slightly, then gave a gentle nod. "Because of Ryan, isn't it?" Dylan pressed. Ethan stayed silent. Dylan grew agitated. "Ethan, I've thought about it so much lately. Clearly, our relationship is the best. No one else can compare. Why did it turn out like this? Where did I go wrong? I can change." Ethan frowned. "I've only ever seen you as a younger brother." Tears welled up. Dylan choked out. "But you've always treated me better than anyone else. Always protected me. With all that, how could there be no feelings? Tell me, if the one standing between us were gone, wouldn't things return to the way they were?" Ethan was stunned. "What are you saying?" Dylan let out a cold laugh. "If it weren't for him, that man who bought his way into your life, none of this would have happened." A foreboding dread rushed over him. Ethan quickly called home, but the line only rang with endless tones. Losing control, Dylan grabbed his phone. "Ethan, forget about him. Even if you always indulged me, I knew your heart was already leaning toward him. But how can he compare to me? Ethan shoved his hand away and rushed off in a panic. When he arrived home, he saw the servants tied up in the living room. Panic surged. He rushed into Ryan's room. Empty. Only then did he realize Dylan had merely been stalling for time. He immediately called him. Sure enough, Dylan answered. "Ethan, I knew you'd call." Ethan's voice was sharp, almost a growl. "Where is Ryan?" Dylan sneered. "So you only call because of him. Is someone so useless worth your worry?" Ethan swallowed his rage. "Don't be reckless. Give it a few more days and I'll send him away, all right?" "You're lying to me!" Dylan roared. He switched on speakerphone, stepping in front of Ryan. "Did you hear that? You're nothing but a toy!" Ryan remained calm, expressionless. Enraged, Dylan slapped him hard across the face. Over the line, Ethan heard the sharp sound. His expression instantly darkened. "Don't hurt him!" "Oh, so you do care?" Dylan mocked. Outwardly, Ethan spoke soothingly, but in truth, he was already leading his men, tracking the signal from Ryan's watch. The door burst open with a kick. Ethan stormed inside. The sight of Ryan bound and helpless nearly suffocated him. He rushed forward, undoing the ropes, voice trembling. "I'm sorry I was late. Everything I said earlier was just to calm him, to keep him from hurting you." Seeing the red welts on his wrists, he asked in a low voice, "Does it hurt?" Ryan answered lightly, "I've been tied up so many times. It doesn't matter anymore." Ethan was struck speechless. A faint, mocking smile curved Ryan's lips. "Didn't you used to do the same?" He froze, words stuck in his throat. Before he could reply, Dylan's voice rang out behind him. "So you really lied to me again." With a knife in hand, Dylan lunged at Ryan. "This kind of person deserves to die. Once he's gone, everything will be fine again." At the critical moment, Ethan spun around, shielding Ryan. He seized the blade. Bare-handed blood immediately streamed from his palm. As crimson dripped along the knife's edge, Dylan panicked and flung it aside. "Ethan, I didn't mean it. I only wanted things to go back to when you weren't cold to me because of him. Just leave him. Be with me. You promised me once." Ethan's face was like ice, his gaze on him colder than a stranger's. I didn't mean it," Dylan stammered, but Ethan had run out of patience. He shoved him aside with disgust. "Don't let the Dylan family lose their funding. If that happens, you won't even keep the life you have now." Casting him away, he spoke with chilling finality. "From today on, we are strangers. If you dare stir up trouble again, don't blame me for being ruthless." Dylan stood frozen in shock. Turning back, Ethan gathered Ryan into his arms. "Don't be afraid. I'll ask Uncle Dylan to send him abroad." Ryan looked up. "You can really bear to do that." "Why not? If he dares lay a hand on you, then even the entire Dylan family won't be left in peace." He tightened his embrace. Ryan nestled against, his chest whispering faintly. "This time he kidnapped me. Next time he might kill me. I'm just an ordinary man. How can I possibly stand against the Dylan family's power? If they really want me dead, I won't be able to stop it." His words trembled with fear. Dylan's face grew uglier by the second. Ryan gave a slight smile. "I'm only using your own way against you. Not happy?" Dylan's eyes darkened. For a moment, he felt Ryan had turned into someone unrecognizable. Suddenly, Ryan's face drained of color, his hand clutching his stomach in pain. Ethan panicked. "What's wrong?" A weak voice. "Stomach. He kicked me earlier." Dylan quickly defended himself. "I didn't." Ethan's glare was terrifying, cold enough to freeze. Dylan fell silent, terrified. Scooping Ryan up, Ethan said anxiously, "Should we go to the hospital?" Ryan shook his head. "Resting at home will be enough." Hearing the words "at home" from his lips, Ethan's heart swelled with joy. He softened his voice. "All right, we'll go home. Ryan glanced at Dylan then, a strange sense of satisfaction rising within him. So being the green tea wasn't without its pleasures. Back home, while tending to Ethan's wounded hand, Peter asked, "How did it turn into this?" "Does it have to do with Ryan?" Ethan replied in a low voice. "It's not his fault. If he doesn't leave me, I'll treat him well for the rest of my life." Then suddenly he asked, "In your eyes, how did I treat him before?" Peter froze. "You really want the truth?" Ethan nodded. Terribly, his face immediately darkened. As Peter packed up the medicine and turned to leave, he stopped him. "Don't rush off. I just want to know, how do others see the way I treated him?" Peter sighed. "You never cared about how he felt. You always forced him to do things he didn't want. To me, sometimes you didn't even treat him like a human being." Ethan retorted, "What feelings could he possibly have? I can't always let him have his way. What if he went with someone else? Didn't you notice? He's always kinder to others, but completely different toward me." He bristled. "Besides, I never treated him poorly in material things," Peter asked calmly. "If someone offered you a large sum of money to hand Ryan over, would you agree?" "Who would dare?" Ethan barked. "It's just an example. You need to understand. What matters isn't only the result, but the process. Ryan is someone who values his dignity, and everything you've done has been cutting off his hope." Ethan's face darkened instantly. He threw him out. Afterward, he walked into Ryan's room, gently asking, "How are you feeling? Any better?" Ryan remained silent. Softly, Ethan urged, "Can't you say something?" Just as he reached out to touch him, Ryan shoved his hand away, his face filled with disgust. "Don't touch me." Ethan froze. Suddenly, Ryan's breathing grew uneven. He whispered, "Do you still have anything else to say?" Ethan quickly patted his back, lowering his voice to soothe him. "Relax. The doctor already said it's only because your emotions are unstable. More rest and you'll be fine." Once, Ryan calmed a little. He handed him a book. "If you get bored, read for a while. These are all ones you like." Ryan gave no reply, only muttered, "I'm sleepy. I want to rest." Closing his eyes, he refused to look at him. Ethan felt a strange ache in his chest. He leaned down and brushed a kiss across his forehead. Later, while handling company affairs, Ryan suddenly appeared at his side. Surprised, Ethan asked, "Why did you come over?" Ryan only stared at the Dylan family documents on the screen, silent. Ethan explained quickly, "It's just ordinary business cooperation. Don't worry, Dylan has already been sent far away." Ryan climbed into his lap of his own accord, arms circling his neck. The sudden initiative startled Ethan. Ryan murmured, "As long as the Dylan family still stands, Dylan will always have backing. He's liked you for so long. He won't give up. One day he'll hurt me again." Ethan's hands faltered. After all, the Dylans and the Ethans had been close for years. In business, there are only absolute interests, never absolute friends. But to strike too quickly carried its own risks. Ryan's gaze dimmed. He pulled Ethan's hand to his waist, whispering, "Or is it that you never even thought about my safety?" Then he pressed his lips to his. In that instant, Ethan lost all resistance. Overjoyed, he cupped his face tenderly. "How could I ever not care about you?" Ryan asked softly. "Then what about the Dylans?" Lifting him into his arms, Ethan carried him into the bedroom, setting him carefully on the bed. His eyes brimmed with adoration. "Everything will be as you wish." Inside, Ryan felt sick with self-disgust, but this was the only way to achieve his goal. Trading his body for results, it nearly broke him, but it had happened too many times already. One more made no difference. Ever since that day, his worldview had been shattered. Whenever desire struck, Ethan would drag him close. He recalled one afternoon after gym class, when Ethan pulled him into the south room hands roaming shamelessly. Even when a few people walked in, laughing as they passed, he didn't stop, wanton in his release. All Ryan could do was grit his teeth, bearing it silently, as the man's sweat soaked him through. Immense, the others left. Ethan panted heavily. Don't pretend anymore, they're gone. Now you can make a sound. Ryan's thoughts drifted blankly. The man tipped his chin up. What are you thinking about? Flatly, Ryan replied, Nothing. Looking at him, he thought, I've hated you for so long. But fortunately, these days won't last forever. He didn't know how much time had passed before Ethan carried him out of the room. A maid stood waiting, her face uncannily similar to Madame Lee's. Ryan didn't care. Everyone in the villa already knew their relationship. There was no point hiding it. Ethan set him down in the bathtub. Ryan shivered slightly. Leaning close to his ear, Ethan murmured, I won't do anything. I just want to wash you clean. This he had never done before. Ryan shut his eyes, telling himself, It doesn't matter. This body hasn't belonged to me for a long time. After the bath, Ethan carefully toweled him dry, awkwardly dressing him in fresh clothes. When dinner was brought in, he even tried to feed him. Ryan instinctively pulled back. Gently, Ethan coaxed. This soup, I made it for you. Just drink a little, all right? Suddenly, Ryan spoke. So, after this, will you rent another place outside to keep me in? Ethan's hand froze. Ryan went on, Do whatever you want. Like Dylan said, Allah sis. Never stand in the light. Sooner or later, when you grow tired of me, I'll have nothing left. Quickly, Ethan refuted. How could I ever grow tired of you? Ryan looked him straight in the eye. The future? Who can predict it? He fell silent. Inside, a thought surfaced. Maybe I really should plan for the future. He wanted to be with Ryan forever. At that moment, his phone rang. Eat first, he told him. I'll just take this call. On the line, Jack's reproachful voice came through. You were too ruthless with Dylan. Uncle Dylan watched you grow up. One must always leave a way out. Ethan avoided the topic. Dad, once this project with the Dylans is finished, I want to marry Ryan. Jack was stunned. What did you just say? He repeated firmly. I want to marry Ryan. I want to live with him. Jack sighed helplessly. Marriage isn't a trivial matter. We'll talk about it later. As for the Dylans, I don't want Ryan facing any threats, Ethan cut him off coldly. Ryan had heard every word. His lips curved with a satisfied smile. When Ethan hung up, he turned to find Ryan stepping out. Surprised, he asked, Why are you out here? Ryan beamed. I want to eat with you. So I came. Hearing those words, Ethan's face lit up like a blossom. I already told my father. Once you recover, we'll get married. Ryan suddenly asked, Do you love me? Ethan froze, unable to answer right away. Do you or not? Ryan pressed. He truly didn't know if it was love. He only knew he wanted to keep him by his side forever. Growing a little impatient, he snapped, Stop asking pointless things. Once we're married, the entire Ethan family will acknowledge you. And I'll only want you, no one else. His mood soared, because soon Ryan would be completely his. He gently lifted the boy's face, whispering with tenderness, Maybe I really can't live without you anymore. Ryan's lips curved faintly. Really? Of course it's real. Why would I lie to you? If one day you don't like it, I'll cut ties with everyone else. Only you will remain. Ryan sneered softly. Even if I don't like you, that doesn't mean you can do it. Ethan pressed Ryan's hand to his chest. Don't believe me? Feel for yourself. Looking at his delicate face, Ethan's throat tightened. In a sudden rush, he pushed him down. Ryan trembled, struggling to shove him away. Leaning close, Ethan whispered reassurance. We're about to marry. What are you afraid of? From now on, this will happen often. I won't go to anyone else, so at least you should satisfy me. Just as his desire surged, Ryan suddenly couldn't breathe. He pushed him off with all his strength, sitting up and gagging dryly. Ethan's expression darkened. Anyone would think you were pregnant, looking like that. Indeed, his condition was worsening. In panic, Ethan patted his back and handed him a glass of water. Drink some, rest a little, you'll feel better. Ryan shook his head and forced himself to stand. Alarmed, Ethan seized his hand. Where are you going? To the bathroom. He rushed to block the draft, crouching, to place slippers at his feet. Wear these, or you'll catch cold. Inside the bathroom, Ryan stared at his reflection in the mirror. Eyes lifeless, body nothing more than an empty shell. Outside, Ethan knocked anxiously. Are you not done yet? Ryan gave no reply, remembering the incident last time in the bathroom. Ethan panicked and nearly forced the door, when finally Ryan emerged. Grabbing his shoulders, Ethan asked in a rush, I called so many times. Why didn't you answer? You were in there so long. What were you trying to do? Ryan's tone was flat. What do you think I could do? Ethan fell silent. I'm tired. I want to rest early, Ryan said. All Ethan could do was pull him into a tight embrace, murmuring low, Ryan, you are mine, forever. Morning sunlight slipped through the curtains. Ethan woke to find Ryan beside him. For one fleeting moment, it felt like the life he'd always wished for. Ryan stirred awake too, eyes still hazy with sleep. Softly, Ethan said, If you're not rested enough, close your eyes a little longer. I'll call you when breakfast is ready. He brushed a kiss across his forehead and quietly got out of bed. When he left, Ryan sat up, picking up his phone. News headlines filled the screen. Speculation about his identity everywhere. It wouldn't be long before everyone knew of his relationship with Ethan. Once, they hid it carefully. Now it was about to be public. But by then, it wouldn't matter to him anymore. When Ethan pushed the door open, he saw Ryan sitting by the bed in only a thin robe. He draped a coat over his shoulders. How long have you been sitting here? Ethan warned. Your body is too weak. You must keep warm. He clasped his icy hands. Come downstairs for some porridge. It'll warm you up. Ryan only hummed in reply. Over breakfast, they briefly discussed the wedding. Staring at the fried egg on his plate, Ryan fell into a daze. He thought of Han Cheng, how he used to make him 2 eggs every day. But time would pass, and surely he would forget him completely. A man with such a bright future could never stay tied to someone like him. Noticing his distraction, Ethan asked, What are you thinking about? Just wondering who will come to the wedding, Ryan answered casually. Ethan buried his face against his neck, inhaling that familiar scent, then slowly pressed him down. The ring box in Ryan's hand slipped and fell to the floor. By his ear, Ethan whispered, Ryan, whatever you like, I can give you. Gripping his hand tightly, he kissed him deeply. After the fervor ebbed, he held him close. Let's put the past behind us. Only the present and future matter. After we marry, I'll place you in the company. What position do you want? Anywhere is fine, Ryan replied faintly. Honestly, waiting for you at home isn't so bad either. I can cook or read. Ethan fell silent. Ryan had become exactly the way he'd always dreamed. But why did his heart still feel empty? The boy continued. At least like this, I don't have to worry about money or work. My classmates are only just starting internships. If they knew about us, they'd envy me. A heaviness settled in Ethan's chest. It was true. He had treated Ryan cruelly in many ways, but overall, perhaps he wasn't too bad. He hugged him tighter, whispering into his ear. Whenever he was with Ryan, he felt as though something vital was still missing. Clutching him closer, he dared not let go for even a moment. He kissed his forehead softly. All right. It's late. Sleep. In his arms, Ryan slowly drifted off. Ethan's thoughts were tangled, and he gazed at him in silence. Perhaps a nightmare came, for Ryan's brows furrowed faintly. Ethan reached to soothe him, but suddenly Ryan's eyes opened. Why? Aren't you sleeping? Don't you have work tomorrow? I don't start until 10. It's not too late, he murmured, stroking him gently. Ryan closed his eyes again, mumbling an Ethan watched him intently, whispering, Ryan, you must never leave me. Never. The next day, Ryan wore an old sweater and went to the cemetery. He turned to the people following him. Leave me alone with my mother for a while. Before the grave, fresh offerings of fruit remained. At a glance, he knew who had come. All my life, the debt I owe Hancheng. I can never repay. He sank to his knees, laying the flowers in his hand before the tombstone. Mother, I came to see you. If you could see me now, you'd surely be disappointed. I hate myself for being so weak, but I have no other choice. I only want them to taste what it feels like to be toyed with. Why is there so much injustice? In this world, why do some people enjoy manipulating others' lives, trampling them underfoot, yet live so freely? His fingers traced the photo on the tomb, tears sliding down his cheeks. Why must I live such a lowly existence? I only want to be whole, to be free of anyone's control. Suddenly, the sky poured rain. Raindrops mingled with his tears, drenching his body through. I don't even know if what I'm doing is right or wrong, but I really can't go on anymore. Resting his forehead against the stone, his voice broke. Mother, I'm so tired. The rain grew heavier. Those waiting nearby came forward anxiously. Sir, please, you should return soon. If you fall ill in this storm, we cannot bear the blame. Only after a long silence did Ryan rise, casting one last glance at the tombstone. From now on, I may not have another chance to come again. As he reached the cemetery gates, his steps faltered. Hancheng stood not far away, watching quietly. The man was still handsome, still composed, though his face bore traces of weariness. Ryan knew, this time, escape was impossible. And the moment Hancheng saw him, his calm shattered instantly, as though terrified Ryan might disappear before his eyes. He dropped the bouquet in his hands and strode forward, pulling Ryan into a desperate embrace. I knew something was wrong the moment you said you had relatives helping you find a job. The next day I called, but no one answered. That was when I realized I'd been deceived. Tears welled in Ryan's eyes. He didn't know what to say, though men accompanying him hurried over, trying to pry Hancheng away. Sorry, please let go. Ryan, we have to leave. Ryan softly replied, Just a few words, it won't take long. One of the men reminded him, Young Master Ethan will be home at 5. There's only half an hour left. Ryan nodded. It's fine. I'll explain everything once we're back. The men reluctantly stepped aside. Hancheng looked at him, his voice tight. I heard you and Ethan are getting married? Ryan nodded. Yes, he treats me quite well now. Even gave me a diamond ring. Life isn't harsh. I don't have to struggle like other graduates just starting out. In its own way, it's good. Hancheng's voice shook. You're lying to me again. Ryan gave a faint smile. Not this time. I left without a word. Only so I wouldn't hold you back anymore. The money for the apartment, I'll return it to you. Hancheng gripped his hand tightly. I don't want money! Come back with me right now! Ryan tried to pull free but couldn't. His voice trembled. Professor Han, please don't be like this. The men nearby moved forward, but Ryan stopped them. It's just a personal matter. It'll be quick. Hancheng finally let go, his voice heavy. Do you even know what you're doing? If you marry Ethan, the media will explode with it. Everyone will know about the two of you. But Ryan cut him off with a quiet smile. I know. I understand. Thank you for caring, but you don't need to worry about someone like me. You still have a brilliant future ahead. Countless people admire you, love you. In time, everyone will forget me. Hancheng's face hardened. He opened his mouth, but no words came. Ryan lowered his head. "Please, don't make things harder for me. I beg you." "No, I never wanted to make things hard for you," Han Cheng blurted. But Ryan's lips curved in a faint smile, his voice soft, yet each word cut like a blade. "Isn't this already making it hard? I've chosen my path ahead. Why do you insist on interfering?" Han Cheng froze. To him, his care and concern had been nothing more than a burden to Ryan. He suddenly realized he no longer understood this person at all. Clearly, Ryan could have escaped Ethan, yet he chose to lock himself inside that cage. The slam of a car door jolted Han Cheng back. He rushed after the car as it pulled away, shouting, "Ryan!" Inside, Ryan turned his head, catching sight of Han Cheng's figure sprinting after him, his umbrella fallen, his face soaked as he ran through the heavy rain toward him. But soon, that figure grew smaller, until it vanished entirely. Ryan didn't want Han Cheng to be entangled any further. With his pure background and bright future, Han Cheng shouldn't waste his heart on someone like him. Because Ryan no longer had a future at all.